Alright boys, there she is, the Rotospader.
The Rotospader.
I believe it's an old Craftsman piece of machinery. And we're going to fix this thing inside for a change. The problem with fixing it inside is I need lighting so you guys can see what the heck I'm doing. Otherwise it's really dark in here. So I think I know the story of this thing. I mean, if you look at it, it's in pretty good shape. It was found stored in a barn. And obviously it was taken pretty well care of or not used very often. And of course, I think what probably happened, the carburetor was missing. So I'm sure the dude tried to pull it out of storage one time and it wouldn't start, so he went to work on the carburetor, and that's the end of that story. It probably sat for many years. So I was going to dig around my junkyard and try to find a carburetor that would work for it, but I decided just to buy one, save myself some time, frustration. So it's supposed to be a genuine manufactured carburetor, which would be a Tecumseh, I believe. But you just never know these days what you're getting sent. Upon inspection, it looks like it's pretty quality built, so I think it probably is a genuine Tecumseh product. So that's good. And this little sucker was not cheap. I think it was about $80. I could find the $10, $15 ones on there, but I'm not going to buy one of those pieces of crap. Always use genuine parts. So it looks like we get a gasket too, so that's nice. So one thing we'll have to do is clean out the gas tank. The one good thing is this is a plastic gas tank, so there shouldn't be much rust or anything like that in here. But if you do look down inside, you can see there's some grunge. So we got to take care of that. It would also be a good idea to replace this fuel line here. It's pretty old, obviously, original paint. So that's got to be, what, 30, 40 years old? Definitely time to replace it. And it just connects to the bottom of the gas tank with a clamp. 1/4 inch fuel line. And I think I'll just take this tank off. It's easy enough. You just have 2 bolts, and this is a 3/8 socket. You know, sometimes it's easier to disconnect the fuel line while the tank is still mounted up, so let's do that first. Here we go. All right. I'll just put the bolts in here for now. It's been on for so long, it's stuck in place. But check it out. Oh, wait a sec. We have another bracket. It looks like you can take them off right there, 3/8. Got my 3/8 socket. Take these little bad boys off. Actually, all you have to do is loosen these. The tank slides off, just like that. All right, let's clean this baby up. All right, so let's check the oil on this thing. I'm sure it has it. It actually looks quite low. Definitely need to add some oil to it. I imagine this thing takes old 30 weight. Check out how they have that fuel line routed through there. There's a hole in the cover. That's pretty sweet. I hope my new fuel line fits. Well, let's just get after it. So, need to make sure to clean off this gasket surface here. can see there's still remnants of the other gasket on there. Stuff is flaking off. So you want to make sure to clean that up good. Oh! That one ended up in China. So here's our gasket. Just like that. Put it on dry. So one of the issues we're going to have is we're not sure if all the parts are here, if all the linkages are here and springs and whatnot. I see this one is still in position, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that's the right spot. And unfortunately on the carburetor, the throttle plate, you have several different holes to choose from, so hopefully it'll reveal itself which one we need to use. I'm going to guess maybe this far one right here. So let's see if that... Oops. Get this carburetor on correct. Yeah, that feels pretty stiff. Like it's binding up or something, so that must not be the right one. Let's try this one here. Carburetor in place. No, that's bound up even worse. This one? Well, that might be right there. It's one of the bigger holes, so I didn't think it was going to be the one for the linkage, but let's see here. Still feels, doesn't quite feel like it should. There we go. I had the throttle in the fast position. I loosened it up, and that loosened things up. So I'm pretty sure that's where we need to be there. So I think when you're trying to figure out linkages, that's a good way to do it, because you can usually tell if it's in the right hole or not, if it because you see it should work pretty freely like that. So just check it, make sure it's not binding up or anything, and make sure the throttle is in the slow position, of course. That way there'll be no tension on this, the governor. Alright, let's replace the fuel line here. There we go. Alright, you think I can fish this thing through and get it on the first time? Probably not. But we're going to try. Oh, look at that! Old Jeff's going to get lucky today. At least in the shop, lucky. Oh boy! Get in there!
Yeehaw! Nice.
Sometimes these little nuts can be kind of hard to reach on this style of carburetor. So you just kind of have to tighten it half a turn at a time. This is a 7/16 wrench. So there we go. I think everything's hooked up correctly. I don't even know if this thing has a electronic ignition. It may still have points and condenser. So we'll find out if we have spark. Well, let's get this gas tank back on this thing. I spent some time washing it out, make sure it was nice and clean on the inside. And it looks like I still have the bolts on the bottom. I already have a fuel line on here, but I wanted to add an inline filter, just because I always do that. Zoink! Always follow the arrow on your fuel filter as far as direction of fuel flow. There we go, pretty snazzy. A fuel shutoff valve wouldn't be a bad idea either. Well, I think we can give this thing a little bit of gas. See if the carburetor holds and doesn't start leaking. It's a new carburetor, so it shouldn't. Well, so far, so good. I don't see any gas leaking out of here. Let's pull this thing out a little bit. See if we can test her out. And your pilot adjustment screw here, you turn it out one full turn, and then the one on the bottom of the carburetor is 1.5 turns to start. So you screw it all the way in with your fingers or a screwdriver very lightly till it stops. Never tighten it up. And then you back it out 1 turn, and then this one 1.5 turns. So let's fire this thing up and see if we can tune it. Alright, that's good. You can hear it starting to sputter as I open it up. Pretty good right there. Runs nice and smooth. Then I'll rev it up and adjust the high speed. Yeah, that one's set pretty good where it's at. I'll actually want to put the air filter back on here before I tune it. Let's go ahead and pick up the idle a little bit here. There we go. Looks like that's the kill switch. Right on. This old machine runs, and it runs pretty good. I'm happy about that. Turned out pretty nice. Alright, so that's how you roughly tune it. We will put the air filter back on once I find some screws for it. And then we'll start it up, warm it up, and fine tune it. We're not going to have to adjust it very much, but we will need a little bit of adjustment probably with the new air filter. Thanks for watching, folks.